Life is a series of events, situations, and different stories that unfold every day. There are happy stories, sad stories, but each brings new experiences and lessons for everyone. The lessons we draw from everyday stories help us grow, becoming more complete individuals with proper ethical thinking. In this video, we have compiled 10 meaningful short stories. Through each story, we learn a lesson that contributes to living a happy life and brings positive energy to our life. Story 1. The Value of a Stone. A student asked his teacher,
"Dear teacher, what is the value of life?"
The teacher handed a stone to the student and instructed,
Take this stone to the market, but do not sell it. Just observe how much people are willing to pay for it.
Following the teacher's advice, the student took the stone to the market to sell. People couldn't understand why he was trying to sell such an ordinary-looking stone. After sitting all day, a sympathetic street vendor approached and offered to buy the stone for 1 coin. The student returned with the stone and sighed.
No one wants to buy this ugly stone. Luckily, someone felt sorry for me and bought it for 1 coin. Teacher.
The teacher smiled and said,
Well done. Tomorrow, take the stone to a goldsmith shop. But remember, even if the owner wants to buy it, you must not sell it.
The student was surprised when the goldsmith offered 500 coins for the stone. Excited, he asked the teacher for an explanation. The teacher chuckled and said,
Tomorrow, take it to an antique shop, but under no circumstances should you sell it. Only inquire about its value.
Following the teacher's advice, the student was astonished when the antique dealer offered his entire current wealth for the stone. Determined not to sell, he rushed back to share the news with the teacher. Only then did the teacher speak slowly.
In reality, the stone is a precious ancient gem, worth a fortune. Just like this stone, life's value depends on how people perceive it. To those who don't understand or appreciate it, life seems worthless. But to those who comprehend its true worth, life is invaluable. The stone remains the same, and so does life. The only thing that makes a difference is your understanding and perspective.
Lesson from the story. Everyone has a different way of valuing success or happiness. Respect the choices of others and make your life valuable in your own way. Only you can decide the worth of your life. Story 2. The Story of 2 Wheat. There were 2 wheat set aside to be used as seeds for the next crop because both were excellent grains, large, healthy, and sturdy. One day, the owner decided to plant them in a nearby field. The first wheat whispered to itself,
Why should I follow the owner to the field? I don't want my whole self to be crushed in the soil. It's better to keep all the nutrients in this shell and find an ideal place to stay.
So, it chose a shady corner in the rice storage to roll into. As for the second wheat, it eagerly anticipated being sown into the soil by the owner. It was genuinely excited to start a new life. Over time, the first wheat withered away in the corner, as it received no water and sunlight. The nutrients within its shell couldn't help it survive, and it slowly perished. Meanwhile, the second grain, even though it was crushed in the soil, sprouted into a golden, flourishing rice plant, bearing new grains. It brought new life to the field. Lesson from the story. Never confine yourself in a protective shell just to preserve the meaningless integrity of your being. Instead, muster the courage to step forward, silently accepting to be broken and contribute to the vast field of life, just like the second seed. Faced with the expansive field of life, I hope each of us will make choices for our own unique growth. Story 3. The Consequence of Disdain. A farmer and a scholar shared a boat in the middle of a river. The scholar, considering himself highly knowledgeable, proposed playing a word-guessing game to alleviate boredom. He suggested a wager. If he lost, he would give the farmer 10 coins. But if the farmer lost, he would only lose 5 coins. The scholar, in an attempt to showcase his intellectual superiority, graciously allowed the farmer to seem the more intelligent one. The farmer presented the first riddle.
What object in the river weighs 1,000 pounds, but when brought ashore, only weighs 10 pounds?
Despite his efforts, the scholar couldn't come up with an answer. Reluctantly, he handed over 10 coins to the farmer. Curious, he asked the farmer for the correct answer.
I have no idea,
The farmer replied, returning 5 coins to the scholar.
but at least I earned 5 coins.
The scholar was left astonished. Lesson from the story: no one is born perfect, and the more one displays contempt for others, the more they reveal their own ignorance. No one should boast of knowing everything because there is still much we don't know. The more one tries to appear intelligent, the more they risk being harmed by their own intelligence. In the story, the farmer, though less educated than the scholar, demonstrated practical wisdom by ensuring he could still earn a little. The scholar, on the other hand, lost money due to his disdain for the farmer. Be humble and value those around you. Story 4. The Man Who Discarded His Shoes. The train was speeding along the highway when Jack accidentally dropped one of the new shoes he had just bought out of the window. Everyone around felt sorry for him. Surprisingly, Jack immediately threw the second shoe out of the window as well. His actions left everyone astonished, and he quickly explained,
No matter how expensive this pair of shoes is, it's no longer useful to me. If someone can pick up both shoes and find a use for them, why not?
Lesson from the story: things that no longer benefit us might bring boundless happiness to others. Cherish what you have and share your happiness with everyone around you. Story 5. Thank you, Dad, for showing me how poor we are. One day, a wealthy father took his son to visit a village. The father wanted his son to see how poor someone could be. They spent time exploring the fields of a poor family. Upon their return, the father asked his son,
How was the trip?
It was great, Dad.
The father inquired,
Did you see how a poor person lives?
Yes, Dad, I did.
Tell me, what did you learn from this journey?
The boy responded,
We have one dog, and they have 4. We have a swimming pool, and they have rivers. We have lights at night, but they have stars. We have walls to protect us, but they have friends. We have TVs, and they spend time with family and relatives.
The father remained silent. The boy added,
Thank you, Dad, for showing me how poor we are.
The moral of the story: true wealth is not measured solely by material possessions. Love, integrity, friendship, genuine values, and family are what truly make you rich. Story 6. Packing for the journey. There was a monk who wanted to go study in a distant place. The teacher asked,
When are you leaving?
The monk replied,
I will leave next week. It's a long journey, so I've asked someone to weave a few pairs of grass sandals for me. Once I get the sandals, I'll be ready to go.
After pondering for a while, the teacher said,
If that's the case, I will ask the lay disciples to donate shoes for you.
Not knowing how many people the teacher had spoken to, that day, dozens of people brought shoes to donate, filling a corner of the meditation room. The next morning, someone brought an umbrella to give to the monk. The monk asked,
Why is this disciple giving me an umbrella?
The person replied,
The teacher said you're preparing for a long journey. You might encounter heavy rain on the way. He asked if I could give you an umbrella.
However, that day, it wasn't just one person who brought an umbrella. By evening, about 50 different types of umbrellas filled the meditation room. When the evening class ended, the teacher entered the monk's meditation room and asked,
Do you have enough grass, sandals, and umbrellas?
I have enough, teacher.
The monk pointed to the mountain of umbrellas and grass sandals stacked like a small hill in the corner.
It's too much, and I can't carry all of this.
That won't do.
The teacher said,
There will be rain and sunshine on your journey. Who can predict how far you will have to walk? How many times you will face rain and wind? What if all the grass sandals wear out and the umbrellas are lost? What will you do then?
After a pause, the teacher continued,
On your journey, you will undoubtedly encounter numerous rivers and streams. Tomorrow, I will ask the lay disciples to donate boats. Please take them with you.
At this point, the monk finally understood the teacher's intention. Bowing to the ground, he said,
Disciple will set off now and will not bring anything with me.
Lesson from the story: when undertaking any task, the crucial question is whether you have the determination or not. With determination and a clear goal, everything else is not a problem. It's not an obstacle. Bring your heart on the journey, and regardless of how far the goal may be, the path is right beneath your feet. Just walk, and you will get there. Every step, even if it's just one, is a harvest. As long as you carry your heart on the journey, everything else will be sufficient. Story 7. The King and the Aching Feet. Once upon a time, there was a wealthy king who ruled over a prosperous land. One day, the king embarked on a journey through mountains and rivers. Upon returning to the royal palace, he complained of sore feet, as it was the first time the king had experienced such a lengthy and rugged journey. In response, the king issued a command saying,
Cover all the roads in the country with leather.
This will require thousands of cowhides and a colossal amount of money. One day, the wife of a royal servant bravely questioned the king.
Why spend such an unnecessary amount of money? Wouldn't it be sufficient to use a small piece of leather to cover your feet?
The king was surprised, but eventually agreed to make a pair of shoes. Lesson from the story: to attain a fulfilling life and a happy place to dwell, it is better to change oneself, one's thoughts and heart, rather than expecting the world to change. The saying, if you change, the whole world changes, holds true. Changing yourself will make you see the world as a much more beautiful place. Story 8. Two tigers with different fates. There were two tigers, one confined in a cage and the other roaming freely in the wild. Both tigers believed their own circumstances were unfavorable, and each admired the other's life. Consequently, they decided to swap their destinies. Initially, both tigers were extremely joyful, but before long, they both met tragic ends. One died of hunger, and the other succumbed to sorrow. Lesson from the story: true happiness doesn't come from external changes, but from contentment and understanding of oneself. Placing too much expectation on external changes can lead to undesirable outcomes. Before making changes, it's important to thoroughly understand the living environment and conditions. Story 9. The Class Beauty. Female students publicly voted for the class beauty, and Miley, despite having an ordinary appearance, stood up and said,
If I am chosen, a few years from now, all of you can proudly tell your husbands, back in college, I was more beautiful than the class beauty.
As a result, she was overwhelmingly voted for. Lesson from the story: persuading others to support you doesn't necessarily mean proving you are superior to others. It's about making them realize that having you makes them better and more accomplished. Story 10. The Mouse in the Rice Bin. A mouse fell into a rice bin, and despite half the rice being gone, the unexpected incident brought it immense joy. Feeling no imminent danger, the mouse began a routine of eating and sleeping inside the rice bin. Quickly, the rice started running out, but the mouse, still enticed by the grains, continued to stay inside. Eventually, with all the rice consumed, the mouse realized it couldn't escape anymore. Lesson from the story: short-term happiness can lead to undesirable consequences. Stay vigilant, identify risks, resist temptations, and find a way out of difficult situations before it's too late. Here are 10 valuable lessons that I want to share with all of you. Please continue to support and follow my channel to explore more new and interesting things together. Sincerely, thank you for your ongoing support.